Today, I'm Jose Diaz-Balart. We're coming on the air with breaking news on the war with Iran. The U.S. Central Command says 2 U.S. service members were killed in action in Jordan yesterday. Writing it happened as they, quote, defended against Iranian ballistic missiles and drone attacks. CENTCOM adding that 1 service member is still missing right now and that 4 others were brought to hospitals but have since been released. I want to go to Julie Tsirkin, who is in Bridgewater, New Jersey, traveling with the president. Julie, what else do we know?
And it comes after 7 days of consecutive strikes that the U.S. had launched against Iran in Iran around the Strait of Hormuz. The memorandum of understanding fell apart earlier this week, the president essentially tearing up the ceasefire with it because he said Iran had violated it even before this week began. These counter strikes, unfortunately, as you mentioned, leading to the unfortunate outcome that we have right now of 2 American service members that were killed. Iran had been attacking and targeting U.S. bases around the region, which I know you will get into more later. But so far, when it comes to the president here in Bedminster today, quiet on this issue, though previously, Jose, we know he had said even 1 service member killed is too many. The question now becomes how the U.S. responds. This tit-for-tat of strikes, perhaps the president decides to escalate it. We know he already was thinking about next week targeting bridges, civilian infrastructure, additional areas in which the U.S. could make it more painful for the Iranian regime after the people there, of course, are going to suffer. And that is exactly what Iran, via state media, has been saying as well, that in some of these U.S. strikes, Iranians were killed. Now, those reports have not been confirmed by the White House. The White House has not said anything about those reports. But so far, of course, now the unfortunate news that 2 service members were killed, another missing in action, and those 4, as you mentioned, medically evacuated, but so far have been discharged after a ballistic missile attack from Iran against a U.S. base there. Now, in addition to the president's potential response here, of course, this begs the question, Jose, of what happens next in this conflict. Americans back home want it to end. The president wanted to bring it to an end. But of course, now with more service members killed, bringing the total during this multi-month conflict from 14 now to 16, the president may want to respond more forcefully, Jose.
Julie Tsirkin, thank you very much. I want to bring in NBC News Chief International Correspondent Kier Simmons. He is in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia at this hour. Kier, this is the first time that Americans have been killed or even injured since that ceasefire was signed in April.
That's right, Jose, and this will be devastating news for those families. We don't know who those families are yet. U.S. Central Command says it is holding back the identities of these service personnel until their families are informed. Of course, inevitably, it will put the spotlight on the blood and treasure that the U.S. is losing in this conflict with Iran. It may also, though, strengthen many people's resolve. It comes on a day when the new supreme leader in Iran, Mujtaba Khamenei, issued a statement just hours ago, actually, in which he vowed a forceful response to those increasing strikes by U.S. Central Command inside of Iran. We've already seen those Iranian responses in 7 separate countries around Iran, including Jordan, and Jordan has been being hit heavily, as has Kuwait in particular, and Bahrain. Jordan, of course, has U.S. personnel, U.S. bases there, so it has been a target, Iran says, for that reason. But those strikes have been condemned by many of America's allies and partners, like Saudi Arabia, where I am now. Saudi Arabia, just in the past few hours, put out a statement condemning the flagrant aggression by Iran against countries like Jordan, Jose.
And you were speaking about these different countries that have been attacked by Iran in recent weeks. Kuwait has indeed been taken particularly a pounding, including a water processing plant that was attacked just recently.
That's right, and Kuwait says that there was a fire, that it has impacted its capability. You'll know that these desalination plants are used to turn seawater into drinking water in this region. Kuwait is particularly dependent on those. Iran is also saying that desalination plants in Iran have been struck and that thousands of Iranians have been impacted by that. It also, in recent days, has complained about bridges being hit. Now, as an example, how difficult this all is, those bridges, at least some of them, lead to a port that is next to the Strait of Hormuz. So they are a military supply line as well as, of course, a civilian bridge. But what it does raise is the question of how the extent to which this conflict is now shifting towards civilian targets getting struck. And now, of course, this news of US service members losing their lives, that will put, as I say, a renewed spotlight on this conflict, on the objectives of this conflict, and whether it is escalating and what is the end goal. Is there an off-ramp? All those questions will be asked again.
Kier Simmons in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, thank you very much. As we conclude this breaking report, just want to pause one more time to bring you that tragic news that, according to the U.S. Central Command, 2 U.S. service members were killed in action in Jordan. 1 service member is still missing. Our thoughts and our prayers are with the families of those people who lost their lives. We'll bring you many more developments throughout the day right here on NBC News Now and online at NBCnews.com. We'll have a full wrap-up tonight on NBC Nightly News.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.